All right, good afternoon, traders. Today it's a new month. It's June 2nd, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Hey, we had an awesome open house. Beautiful people here in the open house with us today. Had some traders make some daily goals. Love that, okay? Love it when they make a daily goal. 1% is all we got to make, all right? So congrats to all those traders who made daily goals. I love that. Hey, let's go take a look at some charts. All right, first, trading day in review. All right, so what did I make? All right, let me just drag this up here so you can see, okay? So I started a new 27K account for the open house, specifically for the open house people. So I made 749 today. Okay, 749 in profits. Okay, not a bad day. All I was supposed to make was 1%. That would have been 270. Okay, so what did I trade? Traded a lot of stuff. I really got to tell you, I don't know how many different products I trade. Copy to there. Traded some of this. It's another one. 305. That's it. I got the 95. I got that. Got the minus 283. Okay, so that's what we trade. We traded some calls. All the calls. Noticed all the calls worked today, and the puts did not. All right, so we had a 10-minute uptrend, all right, over VWAP right here, 10-minute uptrend. And I got to tell you, it was looking really sluggish, kind of going up, failing to make the higher high, going up again, failing to make the higher high. But I got to tell you, they were persistent, all right? They were not giving up. They just kept going and going, like Energizer Bunny. Then they consolidated up here. Then I knew, like, okay, this is it. They're going for it. They're going for some new highs here. So then I got some calls coming into this. Nice rally into the close. It's like a nice green candle. So on the 10-minute chart, 10-minute uptrend, you can kind of see it kind of flaked out here, flaked out, almost flaked out there, didn't close out, flaked out here, okay? 10-minute uptrend coming into the close. So I'm going to look for a continuation candle on tomorrow morning, all right? So continuation candle. So I'll be looking for, okay, what I don't want to find, okay, is one of these. Okay, anything with a big topping wick shows me, all right, it's all about knowing your candlesticks. Shows me that the bears are in control. So I don't want to play with that. I don't want to touch that, okay? I don't want any red candles, okay? So if that was green with a big wick on it like that, with more wick than body and tail, I wouldn't take that, okay? So I'm looking for continuation on tomorrow. Red candle. I don't want a red candle because red candles show me that the bears are in control, all right? I don't want any spinning tops, and I don't want any little dojis. So I don't want any dojis, at least see like these. And I don't want any spinning tops. All right, so no spinning tops, no dojis, because there's nobody has the edge. I want a green candle like this. That would work. That would work. That's all right. That's better. That's even better right there. So looking for a green candle, excuse me, coming in tomorrow, all right, in the morning when we open up, all right? Hopefully you get like a green erases red event. All right, maybe we gap up tomorrow. Who knows where we go? All right, so we'll see what happens. Anyways, looking for a continuation of the 10-minute uptrend. So we had a 10-minute uptrend today, and I said that in the morning prep, morning monologue. I said I will be trading 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, and we did. Okay, so 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, 2 hour. Oh, looky. All right, higher low, higher high. Look at this 2 hour uptrend coming into the close. Daily candle. Okay, higher low, higher high. Daily uptrend. See the 3 EMA on top of the white 8 EMA? All right, all stacked up on top of what? 17 EMA right there. Okay, higher low, higher high. Closing over the trap. All right, over the 17. Closing over the uptrend line. Closing over the all-time high anchored VWAP. consolidating in a bull flag, holding the higher ground up here in quadrant 4. That's all bullish. Everything I just listed there is bullish. Holding the higher ground, closing over the trap over the 17, over the uptrend line. Okay, all of that over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Right now we are in a unique opportunity, all right, traders, where we have 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, all right, that are inside of 2-hour uptrends, that are inside of daily uptrends, that are inside of weekly candles that aren't moving down. That's all I can say at this point. And inside of monthly uptrend candles. Okay? And all of that is in the unique situation where it's above the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay? That is a unique situation right there. So for me, I want to trade all those 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. All right? Some are going to fail, and I'm okay with that, but I'm going to play the odds, all right? As long as that 2 hours in the uptrend, all right, I'm going to have faith in that 10-minute uptrend to work. It might not, but I think all in all, I will play the odds. I think I will have more wins with those 10-minute uptrends over VWAP inside of that. You just saw me list that stack, all right? You know, the 2 hour inside the daily, inside the monthly, all up over VWAP, okay? So like for that stack right there, okay? That's going to work more times than not. Bearish trends, okay? 10-minute downtrends, that's counter trends, so we've got to be careful with those, all right? 10-minute downtrends probably are not going to work as well as the 10-minute uptrends because we're in an uptrend environment. We're in a bullish environment. We're up here holding the higher ground. That is bullish, okay? Just like the morning monologue, all right, or the morning preparation, okay? I'm telling you, you go up, you give it up, that's neutral, okay? But we're not doing that, okay? We're just not doing that. We're going up, and we're holding that higher ground. That is the bullish environment. See us up here in quadrant 4? That's bullish. All right, for all of you that missed my morning thing, all right, you're in for a treat because this is going to help you. Playing counter trends not really the way to go. Try to stick with that trend. We're in an uptrend. We're over all-time high anchored VWAP. We have 2-hour uptrends. All right, those 10-minute uptrends inside there are going to work. Now today, what did we have? We actually had a trend day. I don't know if you guys know it. We had a trend day. Did anybody catch that? Nobody said anything, but I was just seeing if, see, we got a 10-minute uptrend between the hours of 11 and noon. Look at that, between 11 and noon. And where does price close? At the high of the day, at the end of the day. Okay, you guys know the recipe for this. Okay, more times than not, all right, when you got a nice trend day that's not too ballistic, all right, you're going to get that end of the, look at this, still ripping, even in the aftermarket. You're going to get that high of day is going to wind up being pretty darn near the end of day on those daily, on those trend days. Okay, 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. The VWAP is the brown line. Okay, and where are we closing? High of day at the end of the day. You gotta love that. All right, there's 10-minute chart. SPY game plan. Let's take a look at that for just a second. We really didn't need it because we had a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, but let's just look at it. Why does that have 26 on there? Okay, let's take a look at this. See what, I think that's crowded. All right, so here it is. Here's a breakout. Okay, over 590.60. That was a bullish entry right there. That was green erases red. So, John, what do you mean by green erases red? You know, I hear this all the time. Okay, so let's talk about green erases red. Okay, so we went from this at the end of May. We went from this right here from that high. Okay, we went from that high, okay, down to this low. Okay, from that high, the end of May, down to this low. Okay, so where's green erases red? So now we get the green box, and you can see the green erases everything that the bears just did. Okay, picture this. Okay, the bears went out on the beach and they made some sand castles. All right, and then along come the bulls, and they just stampede right through those beach sand castles right there. Okay, and you can see green goes up to here. So where's my entry? Right over the top of those bodies. So you see where that stopped right there? There was the entry right there. Okay, that was the entry. Got a little bingo right there. That was the entry. Look at this thing still climbing. 593.28 and still going. 593.30. It's going for 594. Nice. Okay, so that was the SPY game plan. All right, but you didn't have to wait for this entry. Okay, because I said, all right, I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP because we're in a bullish environment. And in the morning monologue or in the morning prep, okay, I was mapping out all of the bullish environment that I see. Like, hey, look at this, T2123 moving up and holding the higher ground. Hey, look at SPY consolidating over prior consolidation. That's bullish environment. Hey, look at us up over all-time high anchored VWAP. So you had a lot of that already there, that bullish environment. Okay, all we needed was that 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, tradable, and you can see some of the guys made some daily goals. Some made 2, some made 3, some did really well, and I am happy for all those that made some money inside the BYOB Trading Room today. All right, thank you for all my visitors that showed up. Appreciate that. You can see you can make some money here. Okay, if you don't know it, I share my trade, round the clock. You see all of this, everything I do, you see. All right, executed orders, executed orders, right here, unexecuted orders, P&L, positions. Somebody asked me a question. All right, let's go get the question. I'll bet it's Mel. I'll bet. I don't know who it was. It was kind of fast and I missed it. And I'll bet it was Mel. Was it Mel? Sorry, John, I missed the T2122. Yes, I haven't got to it yet, Mel, but I'm going to get to it. I knew it. I knew it was going to be Mel. All right. Yep. Hey, thanks, Brad. All right. Thanks, Brad. Have a great evening. Thank you for hanging out with us today. All right. So, game plan. Game plan works. All right. All right. There it is. SPY morning prep video. Above the pivot, I'm a bull. Below the pivot, I'm a bear. Okay. We're above the pivot. I'm a bull. There you go. All right. So there's SPY. 10-minute chart. Okay. There's the game plan. And the game plan works. All right. See this? We're up at 593.47. The game plan works. Okay. So there's our 10-minute. Let's go take a look at QQQ. And QQQ has a game plan just like SPY. We don't want to be biased against anybody. Okay, QQQ pivot was 517.45. Okay, you can look at price action. Today was the second. Look how price shot off over 517.45. Went up to the green line, pulled back, spiked it, didn't close a candle under it. Okay, so we were bullish on QQQ right here. Ever since that spike, all right, right there, and then price action recovers. 50% of this, all right, up over VWAP, 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, tradable, or you could have played the breakout right here over 521. Okay, again, today was a Monday, so we like Friday options. All right, so they would have been 4 DTEs because today's going to be 0. So you had 4 more trading days. So 4 days till expiration options and 11 days till expiration Friday options, okay? We like them $5 to $15 out of the money. Why? Because they're much cheaper. Okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, $5 to $15 out of the money. Let's just go look at a 520 call. Okay, 1 DTE, 520 call. $4. Oh, I only got $27,000, okay, to start off my account. That's kind of steep, don't you think? All right, so, but you know what? Those in the money options like that, they're going to give you that penny for penny performance, okay? So every penny that SPY moves, you're going to probably see that in your option, okay? But we don't want that, okay? We want to take on less risk. Why? Because we got brand new accounts. We don't want to blow up our accounts, okay? So in order to take on less risk, we're not going to buy these, rich 452 call options, okay? We're going to go out of the money. You can see SPY is at 524. So we would go out to like 525, okay, right here. Notice those are like, $1.43, $1.45. Maybe the 530s, 18 cents, 20 cents. Okay, that's more affordable. Okay, I don't mind losing 18 cents. But heck, when I lose 452, that hurts. All right, when I'm losing 452 per share, one contract's 100 shares. That's 452 times 100. That's $400, right? Just on one contract. Okay, that hurts. 18. Now I'm not going to get the performance that I would out of this, this 452 option. All right, but I'll get some movement out of this, and it's just enough with discipline, and I watch my trade where I can capture some of those profits right there. Somebody else asked me a question. Mel, do I still use 1 DTE and out of the money? Yes, I still do. Yes, I can see I did some of those today. I did the 593s, zeros, and the 592s. Now, I don't do those till in the afternoon, Mel, because I like to wait till that theta decay rips them up, all right, and then I try to catch the bottom of that rip. But we had a nice 10-minute uptrend. You can see, let me just show you what I traded today, Mel, and you can see where I made my buys and my sells. If I can get that up there, see what we got. Here we are. Okay, so you can see, all right. I bought here, and you can see I sold all up in there. I bought here, and I had to double down and double down and double down just to get out. I should have held on to those. Look at those, 22 cents a share. Wow. I think I sold them for $5 because time was running out. Okay, then I traded some of these 592s where you can see I brought the, you had the price decay. Look at those 592s. Look what those went. 85 cents. Wow. Okay. And then you see this price action as it went up, I unloaded. All right. And then as it went up, I unloaded. You lost on the puts. All right. Did you close it out? Did you close out your puts? They might work tomorrow. You might get a gap down. You might get some price action comes down. We'll see what happens. You got Friday puts. Okay. I still think we got a little bit of time. Hey, I still got some puts too, Mel. I got 22. All right. So, all right, there was SPY, all right, and we were on QQQ. Okay, so again, 10-minute uptrend into the close right there. Okay, over the pivot, I'm a bull. Below the pivot, I'm a bear. Okay, over 521 was a entry. Or if you had a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, that was an entry. Okay, so there's QQQ. Let's look at it on the daily chart. Okay, higher low, higher high. See that? Higher low, higher high. Nice solid candle. Closing over the trap. See the 3 on top of the 8. Over the trap, over the rising 17. That's the green dots. Over this uptrend line. Okay, that's this gold line right there. Over the all-time. See the pink line over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, up here in quadrant 4, making higher lows, because there's a low, it's a higher low, and higher highs, that's an uptrend. So QQQ daily, all right, in an uptrend and bullish up here in quadrant 4. Okay, FNGB. Okay, FNGB. All right, let's look at this. Higher low, higher high, closing over the trap, over the 17, over all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line over the uptrend line. Closing up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish, making, here's a low, there's a higher low, there's a high, there's a higher high. So that's an uptrend. FNGB, uptrend right there. Let's take a look at IWM. I'm trying to rush, Mel, so I can get you that T2122. It's coming up. Hang tight. Lower high, lower low, closing, okay, over the trap. See the body of that closes over the trap, over the 17, over the all-time high, no, excuse me, over the uptrend line, but under, this is the all-time high anchored VWAP right there, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, but knocking on the door, okay, not too bad, knocking on the door, closing over the trap and over the 17, that's bullish, closing over the uptrend line, that's bullish, knocking on the door of the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's neutral, and you can see we're not in the upper third, we're not in the lower third, so that's neutral right there, and we're making higher lows and higher highs, so that's an uptrend. And every time I see price move up, hold that higher ground, that is a bullish environment. All right, so things looking good, just not quite as strong as QQQ and SPY. So there's IWMs. Take a look at Diamond Dow. All right, again, Diamond Dow moving up, see it holding the higher ground over that all-time high anchored VWAP. That's good. That's a bullish environment. All right, anyways, let's get on to it. Okay, price action is, I got to zoom in because my eyes aren't that great. Okay, lower high, lower low, closing over the bullish trap. That's bullish. Closing over the 17, that's bullish. Closing over the uptrend line, that's bullish. Closing over, so this is a downtrend line, closing over the downtrend line, that's bullish. Closing over the all-time high anchored VWAP, also bullish. Moving up and holding the higher ground, that's bullish. Okay, hanging out in the upper third, closing that day in the upper third, that's bullish. And making higher lows and higher highs, that's an uptrend. So looking good there on Diamond Dow. Okay, that's bullish. All right, start with T2122. Okay, so we were in the buyer's chop zone, and we ripped down here into the seller's chop zone, and from there we started making higher lows, and with the higher lows we started making little mini higher highs. It's a 15-minute chart, T2122, and then you can see we came all the way back to, well, basically where we closed on Friday. That would be the end of May right there. It's coming back. So we're still underneath this downtrend line right there. Be nice to see us break through. I don't know if we will break through before we hit the sell zone. Okay, so there's T2122. On T2123, it's a 15-minute chart. Okay, a little choppy here. Okay. Okay, on Friday, okay, it was green from the beginning to the end of the day with a 4 martini lunch right there. Okay, so here, looking like they had some mimosas for breakfast. Anyways, you got some little bit of selling at the beginning of the day, a little buying, a little selling, a little buying, a little selling, a little buying, a little selling. Okay, they were lost. They were confused. All right, and then at the end of the day, look at this. They came back to yesterday's close or Friday's close, and then they closed up on top of it. So guess what? Yet again, another day with a new higher high on this rally that originates from down here. Okay, look at each day. Okay, each day is putting in a higher high. Okay, there's a high for today. This was the high for Friday. This was the high for Thursday. This was the high for Wednesday. This was the high for Tuesday. This was the high for Monday. See, look at this. Each day they are going another rung up on the ladder. Nice work, okay? And they're making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish. They're up over the 200 SMA. That's bullish. They're up over the daily downtrend line. That's bullish, okay? And making higher highs and higher lows. That's bullish. And they're consolidating, okay, over prior consolidation. That's bullish, okay? So we'll just take this. You can see if I drag it all the way back over here, okay, you can see they're over all of this consolidation right there. That's bullish, all right? So that's the 15-minute chart. And look at this. They're moving up, okay, moving up and holding the higher ground. See, they move up and look, they're holding the higher ground as opposed to moving up and giving it up. We've seen this before. Okay, this is what we like. That's doing the right stuff right there. Okay, let's go take a look at 3-bar chart. Okay, 3-bar chart right here. Okay, price. See the downtrend line? See the going up and giving it up? What I was talking about? See, you go up, you give it up, that's neutral. You go up, you give it up, that's neutral. You go up, you give it up and more, that's bearish. Okay, see that? That's bearish. Okay, if you go down and you give it up, that's neutral. Okay, see how that works? All right. All right, so price moving up, again, holding that higher ground, that's bullish. Okay, if you look closely, all right, you got a high here. See those green dots? That means the candle got over it. Okay, so you can see we've got consolidation. Okay, up over prior consolidation. Okay, you can see all of that consolidation there. See all of this inside the box. It's all over everything inside this box. Okay, that's bullish. All right, now on the this right here, again, we're up holding the higher ground. We're making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish. We're up over the 200 SMA. That's bullish. And we're up over the daily downtrend line. That's bullish. And we're consolidating over prior consolidation. That's bullish. Again, everything looking good. All right. Again, you go down and you give it up, that's neutral, all right? But there's a lot of bullishness going on to make this neutral right there. So that's looking good for right now. So there's T2123. Let's take a look at FN. I don't know why I got two of those. FNGB. All right, here's today's price action. Okay, relentless buying from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. Remember, we got AVGO's going to report Broadcom on Thursday after the close. Okay, that's the main event this week. All right. And you can see we almost made a higher high except for that candle on the 29th. Okay, almost up there. Okay, so price action up over the 200 SMA. That's bullish. Up over the uptrend line. That's bullish. Up over the all-time high, the pink line, the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. And just look at the move from here up. Yeah, that's bullish, right? They're moving up, all right, and they're over yesterday's high, yesterday's base. Okay, moving up over yesterday's base. Not quite Friday's base. Not quite making a higher high though, but looking good. All right, up there, nice. On FNGB. We watch FNGB. Why? Because it's got 10 of the most heavily weighted securities inside the QQQ and the SPY. Okay, because when they move as a pack, they drag those indexes up with it. So wherever this goes, so goes the index 99% of the time, unless they're restructuring the index. Okay, see this goes up, and where did SPY and QQQ go? Up all day. All right, this FNGB. All right, let's take a look at some sectors. All right, first sector, let's take a look at XLE. All right, XLE still in the lower third, so that's bearish. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bearish trap, but under the 17. Okay, so it's kind of neutral through there. Still underneath, downtrend line 1. Underneath, downtrend line 2. Underneath, all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a pink line in the lower third. That's bearish. They're in an uptrend, but here's the problem. They're not moving up. They haven't moved up in 12, 13 trading days. Okay? They've just been moving down. They're in an uptrend. They're making higher lows and higher highs. They're just not moving up. All right? You can have the uptrend, but if you're not moving up, what good is the label, right? You got to have the action to go with the label. They're not moving up. All right? Again, it's just a moniker, all right? It's just a tag, just a label. All right? They're not moving up. So there's XLE. Okay? Notice under the midpoint in the lower third. Let's take a look at USO. All right, USO. Did they make a higher high finally? Let's see. Well, they beat this high right here, so I'm going to give it to them. And I think they beat this high right here. Okay, so, okay, USO finally in an uptrend after multiple days of, 12, 13 days not taking out this high. Finally, they did it. Higher high, higher low. It's a miracle, about time. Closing over the trap, over the 17. Okay, in an uptrend. Okay, no longer in the lower third. All right, so it's neutral. It's not bullish, even though it's in an uptrend. Okay, it's neutral. You have to get up here to be bullish. Okay, they're not in the lower third, so they're no longer bearish. They were bearish this morning, neutral now. Okay, closing over the trap, that's bullish. Closing over the 17, that's bullish. Closing under this 3-year high anchored VWAP, that's kind of neutral right there. Closing underneath the midpoint, that's neutral. It's on the bearish side of neutrality. Okay, price action, moving up, holding this higher area here. It's not a very big, tall task, but be nice if they could get up here. But y'all got to start somewhere. Okay, so here's a good place to start. So there's USO, finally in an uptrend and no longer bearish. All right, we'll see if they can hold on to it. All right, so there's USO. All right, let's take a look at UNG. All right, UNG in a downtrend. Why? Because there's a low, we made a lower low. So that's a downtrend. We're underneath the downtrend line. All right, that's bearish. Okay, we're underneath the 12-month high anchored VWAP. That's a pink line. Okay, so that's bearish. We're making making higher lows and higher highs. Closed over the bearish trap. Closed over the falling 17, but closed under the downtrend line. Okay, and we closed over the all-time high anchored VWAP. So no longer in the lower third, so that's neutral. Okay, UNG, neutral, still in a downtrend. Okay, still in a downtrend, just neutral. So there's UNG. Let's take a look at precious metals. All right, what do we got here? We got gold. All right, gold took out this high, so they were in a downtrend, and they made a higher high because that's a high. We pulled back under the 17, and then we ripped back up through. Okay, so there's a higher high. So they're now in an uptrend. Okay, believe it or not, closing over the bullish trap. That's bullish. Closing over the pink line. That's the all-time high anchored VWAP. Closing over the 17 EMA, that's the dots, the green dots. Okay, up here in quadrant 4, it's bullish. Again, making higher lows. See, there's a low, higher low. There's a high, there's a higher high. Okay, so there's GLD. And that's up in quadrant 4, that's bullish. See up there? And up over the uptrend line, that's bullish. All right, let's take a look at silver. Oh, wow, look at that candle on silver. Wow. Higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap. That's bullish. Over the 17, bullish. Over the downtrend line, that's bullish. Over this is at 12-year high and a 6-month high anchored VWAP. Okay, that's bullish. Up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. All right, making higher lows, obviously higher highs. That's bullish right there. Making a stab at that 12-year high right there. Wow, nice work on silver. So there's the daily candle. Let's take a look at SMH. SMH is not quite in the upper third. Almost. Okay. Looking like, I got to zoom in. Okay, higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap. Over the 17. Over the downtrend line. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Not quite in the upper third, still neutral, but knocking on the door. All right, so there's SMH, making higher lows and higher highs. That's an uptrend. It's bullish, holding that higher ground. That's bullish, just not in the upper third. Okay, so it's acting bullish. That's a bullish environment. Okay, let's take a look at XLK. Now, XLK is up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish. Okay, probably like higher low, higher high, closing over the trap. That's bullish. Over the 17. That's bullish. Over the daily uptrend line. That's bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's bullish. Moving up and holding that higher ground. That's bullish. Okay, up in quadrant 4. That's bullish if I didn't say it yet. All right, and in an uptrend, higher lows, higher highs. Okay, everything bullish on XLK. Let's take a look at XLF. Okay, moving up, holding the higher ground. That's bullish. Up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's bullish. All right, up here in quadrant 4, bullish. Lower high, lower low, closing over the bullish trap. That's bullish. Over the rising 17, that's bullish. Wow, nice work on financials. Take a look at IYT. Okay, IYT not performing so well. Okay, let's take that back some. All right. Lower high, lower low. Closing under a bearish trap, under the 17. That's bearish. Okay, closing under the uptrend line. That's kind of bearish neutral. Closing underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's kind of neutral right there. Not in the upper third, not in the lower third. Okay, so that's neutral. All right. I almost think it made a lower low. So that's started a downtrend. They made a lower low. So transport started downtrend. This is not what we want to see. All right. Transports are a big part of a juiced up rally. Okay, because that shows products are getting put on the shelves, products are getting moved around the country, materials are getting moved around the country so that manufacturing can take place, so that sales can take place. Transports closing like this is just neutral and in a downtrend now and under all-time high anchored VWAP. This is not good. This is not good. All right? We need this to get in line. You got financials are in line. You got technology in line. You got SMH kind of neutral. You got T2123 acting bullish. T2122 kind of in a downtrend. You got SPY acting bullish. FNGB acting bullish. We can't have this. This might throw a wrench in the rally or delay it for a month or two. It's possible. IYT, okay? Not impressed, not doing good there on IYT. All right, I'm going to go through and read some. That's it for me for today. I'm out of breath. Okay, let me see what we got here. And I did make Friday calls closed for profits. Way to go, Mel. FIDO, silver and gold moving big today. Agree. USO higher on OPEC and build expansion. That is interesting. May have, Tech says, may have been the weak dollar related. Could be. I didn't see all that much weakness in the dollar. Let's see what we got. Who knows if it's going to show up. I got knocked offline because I was in a thunderstorm. So is it going to do it? Is it really going to get? Hey. Yeah, we went down some. It's not like this. All right, we're still in a bear flag underneath what once was major support, now is minor resistance. Okay, and we're making lower highs. Okay, so that's good right there. Who knows what's going to happen? Well, maybe that'll get the transports in line. BYOB trade futures instead of options. Futures 605 of the gains treated as long-term. Yeah, yes, on gains. Love that. Yeah, love futures. Yeah, 60%. I'm from Canada. Look into that. Yes, look into that, Bob. Futures are incredibly easier than options. There's no strike price. There's no expiration date. All you got to do is manage your trade. One thing is they are very, very whippy. Yeah, no theta, no gamma, no nothing, right? They are very whippy, all right? So just when you think they would be the top, for some reason, they go like another 25, 30% sometimes. Well, just take it slow. Paper trade it first. Take it slow. All right? You can do it. Just paper trade it first. And you can paper trade it on TradeView. Right on this one right here. Okay, you can trade the MES. I'm going to share that with you. I think you can trade it right on TradingView. Right? Okay, traders. Again, thanks for hanging out with me today. Wow, a lot of you are still here. Thank you for listening to me. All right, I appreciate everything. Alan, thank you as well. Alan does a lot of sharing of the economic data and other stuff too. Bob shares a lot of news. Thanks, everybody. And all the help from Tex today. Love it, Tex. Thank you. Hope you get to stop in again sometime. All right. Alan makes money. Alan makes goals. Yes, he does. Thank you, Nan. Thank you. Everybody, love it. Everybody have a great evening. I'm about wiped out. All right. I'll see you guys all tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and we'll do it again. All right? We're going to do it again. All right? Thanks, Brad. Thanks. Yep. Those the evening video and the morning video. A lot of educational content in those morning and evening videos. Spelling out the environments and talking about what's probably going to work, right? All right, everybody, have a great evening. Thank you for being here. Ed's probably going to reset the room. Well, that's good. That's good. You're back in the saddle. Love it. Thanks, Brad. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, tomorrow. Don't forget about my pal Doug. All right. Doug is having a 3/8 trap class Wednesday, the 4th, all right, at 2:30. And the link is in the description of my video. Okay? 2:30 in the afternoon, Eastern time. All right? 3/8 trap coaching, okay? Showing you how to find the good 3/8 trap setups. All right? Don't forget, all right? He's really good at this. He's really good with options and spreads. All kinds of spreads. Debit spreads, credit spreads, ratio spreads. The guy is just a wealth of information regarding options. knows all the Greeks. All right. So if you like options, and or you're just looking for an entry for buying something like NVIDIA's a hot one. Okay. I mean, you're not going to do AI without NVIDIA. All right. So he can show you where would be the good setup of the good entry on NVIDIA. He'll teach you where the good places to buy are. All right. He'll tell you good setups, bad setups, show you where your stop was going to go, show you what your reasonable goal would be. Okay. Show you entries, and help you set up a trade plan for the 3/8 trap. Okay. So don't forget. Okay. The link's going to be in the description. Thanks everybody. Have a great night.